Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to what are we doing? Wrong Turn, and this is, I think, the seventh or eighth episode where I am working on the Aero coaster that's supposed to be based sort of on the Tennessee Tornado. What Aero might have done if they had continued along in the same vein as the Tennessee Tornado. And thanks to one of my regular viewers, I think it was Lewis, who suggested this, and it was pretty obvious. I don't know why I didn't do it in the first place. I went ahead and changed the loop just a little bit to make it actually go around the lift hill, so it makes a bigger impression going up the lift hill, and I actually kind of like the way this turned out because it's sort of really an arrow looking loop once I get it perfected, and I just kind of I really like the way this turned out. So thanks for that suggestion. Good job with that. So the next thing I want to say is to all of my American subscribers or anyone who's watching, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're enjoying the day with your family. You get to eat lots of food. This is my personal favorite holiday that we celebrate in the United States, just because I love the aspect of getting to spend time with my family and eat lots of food. That's my favorite part about it. Any holiday where you're going to be stuffing yourself, that's one I like. So happy Thanksgiving to all. So we started out working on the Aero coaster, and then I took a quick break to come over here and finish Wrong Turn, just finish up the supports and this one little section here that I told you in the last video needed to be redone. And I did a little bit, I finished up the terrain work just a little bit, and so this coaster is pretty much finished for the most part. I'll do a POV shortly once I have the terrain worked out in the front of the ride so that it looks fairly decent over there. So I'll do a POV of that shortly, and then I'll finish up work on the Aero coaster, and we'll be done with this series. I don't know if you can hear all this running back and forth. My cats are going berserk. They are climbing up the walls, literally. One of my cats has discovered when he was just a little kitten that he could run sideways on the wall, so he does that all the time, and that's what he's doing right now. So that's just a little diversion. So in just a moment we will get back to the Aero ride. I have a tentative name for it. I have not decided yet if I'm going to go with that name, so I'm not going to mention it just yet. But we'll get back to that, and you'll see in just a moment we finished the I did the loop that wraps around the lift hill. And then I was fooling around a little bit with what I wanted to do with it after that, because I was having a hard time getting the brake run squeezed in. So I thought first that I would do 2 back-to-back loops, because that's something you really don't see on coasters too much anymore. Something like the Shockwave at Six Flags Over Texas, or the Carolina Cyclone has 2 back-to-back loops, and that's something that Aero used to do quite a bit. Especially manufacturers in general used to do that much more than they do now. Inversions are much more varied than they used to be. So I thought it was a kind of a neat little nod at first. So I put in 2 extra loops, and then I kind of ended it as well with 2 sort of barrel roll corkscrews. Barrel roll corkscrew, I think, is difficult to do using FVD. I have not actually tried one based on my experience doing the one that I'm going to do here in just a little while. It is kind of difficult to do, and I think the reason for that is that they were not designed using forces at all. I think they were designed with a very geometrically. So that is something I have not explored too much in FVD, doing something geometrically. So I might actually give that a try at some point, just as a challenge to see what I could do. I think if you could actually get the geometry of it down, it should be fairly simple to do. But if you were trying to do it just with forces, I think it would be much more difficult. So you'll see what I ended up with is, if I ever finish just kind of doing the terrain here around the wooden coaster, you'll see what I ended up with. So, and I know also one of my subscribers, I will send me a question about doing a wing over, in FVD. I've personally not tried that. Here we go back to the arrow finally, and you see I had done the 2 loops, and then I took the second loop out and decided to go back and try something different. So you're actually not even going to see the double loops in this video, but I think I will do a coaster at some point with 2 loops just because it's not used anymore, and I think it's kind of interesting. But anyway, one of my subscribers asked about doing a wing over, a B&M wing over, and then I noticed, and dude, I'm sorry, I cannot think of your name, screen name right off the top of my head. I think it's Panvar or something like that. And then I noticed you uploaded a video that was sort of based on, what do you call it, at Alton Towers, I can't think, Nemesis. I thought that looked pretty good. I think it was your first try in FVD. It looked pretty good, so I might give a wing over a try. I'll do that in one of the FVD elements and see what I can come up with. But you see here, this corkscrew, I actually like the way it looks, and I like the ending the ride with it. I thought it was sort of a nod to the classic Aero ride without being exactly, you know, end the ride with a corkscrew and a helix and then you're finished. So the one thing I did do was change the direction of the turn coming out of the station so that now this corkscrew wraps around the station. I really like the way that looks. I really like the way that turned out. So basically then all I do after this is a turn around and up onto the brakes. So the ride does end up being very short, but I'm cool with that. I've said over and over that I like short rides. And also this is loosely based on the Tennessee Tornado, which in itself is a very short ride. So I'm cool with that. I think overall I like the layout. It rides well. I enjoyed everything about the coaster. So we'll also take a ride on this. Actually, I'm going to do a POV at the end of this video. I normally don't do that until I'm ready to actually sort of debut the ride, but I thought I'd go ahead and do one just because I fooled around with it so much, and I thought I'd just go ahead and do a POV as is, kind of plain, without any of the scenery and so forth, just so you get an idea of what it does. And then I'm going to import this into NoLimits 2, and you're going to see me take a little bit of do a little bit of hand building, which I really suck at. I'm somebody that needs to do hand building. I need to look at tutorials for noobs because I can really not hand build at all. I pretty much started using, when I started NoLimits 2, I hand built one coaster, and then I immediately started looking for some kind of tool that I could use to build them more precisely, and I found FVD and learned it as quickly as possible, and I've never really hand built a coaster since. I'm just not good at it. I like the precision of FVD much better. So you see here, I'm just getting it up into place where I want it, and then basically I'll just finish off the ride with the brake run and so forth. Here, I'm having trouble just making a straight piece of track, so hand building is not for me. I got to tell you that. So I go ahead and put the brakes in, and put the tunnels and so forth. There are quite a few tunnels on this, and you see the loop emerges up out of the ground. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. We'll see. I do kind of like it though. We'll see. The tunnels are getting a little bit unrealistic, in my opinion, but which brings me, reminds me of something. I'm thinking about doing, most of the coasters I've done so far have been very realistic, and I'm thinking of doing something just totally fantasy. We'll see about that. If anyone has an opinion on that, I'd like to hear it, just because I don't usually do things like that, so it might be a stretch. Something along the lines of maybe like what One Track Mind does or something like that. Might be a lot of fun to do something like that. We'll see. But that's going to be about it. We're going to take a POV here in a minute. Here we go. So take care and enjoy the ride.